Francois Nielsen. Francois and I have something in common, namely that we know one sentence in Latin, which was written by Julius Caesar in his book De Bello Gallico about the Gallic Wars. And this is the opening line, which people from a certain country all know by heart, because it says, Omni Gallorum Belgae fortissimi sunt, which means of all the Gallic peoples, the Belgians are the greatest. And as you know, like myself, Francois was born and raised in Belgium, although there is something also that divides us, because this is not Belgium anymore today. You see, this was Belgian, Gallic Belgium. More precisely, Francois, according to his own website, he was born in Bois-Mal-Boisfort. This is completely unknown to me, because this is French for Bois-Mal-Boisfort. And as you can see from the map of Belgium, Bois-Mal-Boisfort is a suburb of Brussels, and Brussels is wholly and completely in the Flemish language zone, in the Dutch-speaking language zone, although Brussels itself is officially bilingual. So Belgium, here you see this line is a cultural line, it's not a political or legal line. This is Holland, so this is Dutch-speaking Belgium, and this is France, so this is French-speaking Belgium. But I just wanted to note that the way we were raised, I was raised in a village right here in Flanders, so I'm Dutch-speaking, he is French-speaking. We don't even agree on the proper pronunciation of the place where he was born. Having said that, it becomes more complicated for Francois because he was born out of a Belgian mother, I assume, but from an American father who was stationed as a GI in Europe after World War II. Raised as a French-speaking Belgian, his ethnicity is actually far more complicated than that. Because on his father's side, I assume that Nielsen accounts for the Danish part of his ethnicity. There is also a British part, and the Belgian part is actually more in origin French, as from France, rather than Walloon French, which is the French-speaking part of Belgium. Interestingly, Francois has calculated and researched very meticulously his ethnic makeup. And from that we can see, and we have to assume that this is done properly with all due scientific rigor, as he is becoming to a good sociologist, we can see that his ethnicity is 25% Danish, 12.5% British from England, 12.5% British from Canada, and so on and so forth. I noticed actually that he is 0.78% Dutch from a certain Van Vliet. There is a famous Donald Van Vliet, who's a rock star called Captain Picard. I wanted to put that in there, and so on and so forth, so it gets quite complicated. I don't have that kind of history at all. He was raised by his mother and grandmother in Belgium, and this is the Atelier, or which is actually called the École Moyenne, middle-level school, is the secondary education school in Belgium, where he took a Greek-Latin program, which is also a little different from me because I took a Latin science program, which is kind of not quite as classical as having both the Latin and the Greek adaptation attached to it. After that, actually here we see, I found this picture of his class, and it is of course no coincidence that he is right in the middle. I don't know what that means, but after his secondary education, he first contemplated to go to law school, which, like he says, actually you shouldn't call it law school because in Belgium, law is an academic discipline. So you don't go to law school, but to a law department. And so you can go there at age 18 like an undergraduate. But he decided not to do that because a career in law didn't seem to be very enticing. So he went to architecture school, where he spent some time, I believe a semester, almost a year. And then by chance, this is his own saying, he read a book by a French sociologist whose name he forgot, and therefore he decided to drop out of architecture school and study sociology. So I guess, you see, this is about something we all have in common, that we have some really weird reason why we land in sociology rather than some deliberate choice. He attended, indeed, I have to say this in French, the Université Libre de Bruxelles, because the Free University of Brussels actually has two universities, one French-speaking and one Flemish-speaking. This is the ULB, where he wrote licentiate licence thesis, which is the equivalent of an MA thesis, about methodological problems in the work of Wilfredo Pareto. So he has his master's from Belgium, ULB. Then he came to, or he went to Stanford University, not so much because he wanted to pursue graduate studies, as he wanted to take advantage of having American citizenship. Because having an American father who had been living in Belgium, but then moved back to the United States, he had to go back to the United States before the age of 23, I believe, and stay there for a number of years in order to not lose his American citizenship. And that's why he went to Stanford University, also because of the palm trees. Apparently that attracted him very much. Needless to say, I looked up this Stanford University. This is not in Belgium. So I don't know what happened to him afterwards. You know, don't really matters that much to me. But apparently he has quite a career since then. He is now a professor of sociology at the University of North Carolina, after having spent some time at McGill and University of Chicago. And you can see that his stay there has been quite productive, also having produced two beautiful children. And presently, as professor of sociology, Francois is also editor of Social Forces, and he's going to talk to us today. Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mathieu. I didn't realize that all these details about my life that I thought were long forgotten were still there on the web. Thank you so much. It's all true, as well as I can tell. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be asked to do this very prestigious lecture. Mathieu mentioned something about undergraduate thesis, actually a thesis of mine on Frederick Pareto. And that is a strange connection because there are a few people who are interested in the work of Pareto, and it so happens that Mayhew was one. And so from a long time I had this interest in Pareto, and I will briefly touch upon this talk. So the topic I'm going to discuss today is the nature of social reproduction, and I put italics there for a purpose that will become quite apparent. I'm really proud of this title, and it was inspired to me by the title of a paper by Robert Blum, who is a psychiatrist who does behavior genetic research. And he wrote a paper a few years ago called The Nature of Nurture. That's one way to characterize an outstanding debate in the social sciences, social behavioral sciences. The argument that Blum makes is that what we see as nurture, actually many characteristics of the environment in which people grow, the nature of the household, the dinner table conversations, the intellectual stimulations that the parents bring. All of these, of course, are cultural, but they're also very often